Happy Wednesday, everyone, and welcome back to another session of Trading the Markets. I'm Bijan Maleki, and I'm, of course, joined by RV Crypto contributor Kris Bullock. Before we get into it today, guys, make sure you check out our latest Shooting the Shit episode with Ral and Julian. They go over where we currently are in the business cycle, what they're making of this recent market rally that we've been having, and where they see the opportunities right now. Julian also gave a shout out to Lo-Fi, one of meme coins we've been discussing quite a bit, and we'll definitely be discussing today. Kris also released an update on the RV crypto portfolio this past Friday. So his portfolio update on April 25th was 30% up since inception. But looking at the newest release, we're up 64% since inception this week. So not too bad, Kris. Doing great there. And then a quick reminder, we discuss this stuff all day, every day in our Discord. So whether you want to stress test your ideas, get insights on new trades, you need to join us in RV Crypto and join our Discord and join the conversation. You'll also have access to Kris's portfolio as well. So yeah, just make sure you do that and open a ticket once you do, and we'll get you sorted out. And as always, if you have any questions, charts, or coins that you want us to discuss here, just drop it in the chat on Twitter or in our live chat on the website, and we will get to as many as we can. So anyway, now that that's out of the way, Kris, let's get into it. What is on your mind this week?
We got us a good old-fashioned boring market day today. There's there's hardly anything going on to talk about. No, that's not true. But yeah, it's just one of those days where you kind of look at the charts and pretty much everything is red, but not down much, and it's just like, well, okay. Well, it's one of those days, And kind of on that note, I wanted a quick touch on just the chart real quick, just to show what I mean by that in terms of like why you shouldn't care and why it's not a big deal. So if we can look at Bitcoin here real quick and pull this up, this is just one of those days where, we're going along, we're basically holding this 10-day moving average trend. And we had this huge day yesterday, or not yesterday, but last Thursday, where everything ran up basically off the announcement of the tariffs. And it's just kind of gone sideways since then. And really, we're just waiting for the 10-day moving average to kind of catch up to price like it does, just like it did here last time around. And so I think we just need a few more days for this to resolve. And it's kind of perfectly convenient that it sort of came right up to this resistance level near the top of the all-time high structure and has sort of bounced from there. It kind of ran out of steam, and it's just going to meander sideways for probably a few more days. And then everything's going to kind of coalesce again, right? Probably around Friday, Saturday of this week. And hopefully it'll be, another nice little bounce from there. So just a boring day, but nothing to worry about, nothing to panic. Let's just, wait it out, basically.
Yeah, we need these boring days every now. Can't have up only action, right. Down only action. Gets too stressful. We deserve a boring day every now and again. So I know you've been looking at the crypto dashboard, and you really found a way to utilize that and really help you dig into trades and ideas. And I know offline we were talking about you using it yet again. So what is the dashboard telling you this week?
Yeah, so one of the things I always like to talk about with the crypto dashboard is basically this top two sections here, the top 200 market cap weight and then the top 200 equal weight. And as I've mentioned multiple times now, when the top 200 equal weight starts to kind of, take the lead, this tells us that the lower market cap section of the top 200 is outpacing the higher market cap section of the top 200. And that basically means alt season in so many words. I mean, there's a little more nuance to it than that, but more or less, that's kind of what you can infer from that. And we're seeing here now on the 30-day rolling basis, the top 200 equal weight has taken the lead. It's up 37% compared to 25%. And on a rolling 7-day basis, it's up twice as much. It's 22% versus 11%. Now, we are having a down day today just because it's, just like I just talked about a second ago. So naturally, when Bitcoin goes down up a 0.5% or more, you're going to see alts come down 5 or 6 or 10%. So that's why on the daily, we're down a little bit. But overall, we can see that alts have primarily taken the lead in the last month, really, honestly. And I think that's in large part to a number of things, which we'll get into. We know memes are outpacing, but also Ethereum is outpacing,
right.
Lately. And Yeah, we can get into that here in a second, but that's basically what I've taken from the dashboard this week. Now, I know you can kind of drill in like I have done, and it'll show you which individual sectors are outperforming more than others, and then within each of those sectors, which specific projects are or assets are outperforming. And I can tell you just kind of in a summary, it's memes and layer ones are doing really well. We know the SWI ecosystem is doing well, and Ethereum, having as much weight as it does, is also having a huge impact on that too. So yeah, ETH, SWI, memes, AI, that's kind of what's going on right now. But the good thing is it's all outpacing Bitcoin. And so maybe we're getting this alt season that we've been waiting for the longest time. And I think we really needed ETH to do that big reversal in order for us to get this sort of larger alt season that I think we've been wanting, because without that, there just wouldn't have been enough strength, enough momentum across the alt sector to really fuel anything long term. And so if ETH can really kind of keep the momentum that it has, then we might be off to the races as far as ETH goes. And Bitcoin dominance may have peaked. It's still early to tell, but I think we're making strides in that direction at least anyway. So
yeah. Another reason you'll want to check out Shooting the Shit with Raul and Julian, because they do discuss exactly where we are with Bitcoin dominance and where they think we are. So love that you shouted that out. Yeah, Kris, I mean, there was a line of thinking, not even that long ago, really, that the cycle, the alt season was going to be led by essentially by something else other than ETH. It was like Solana, right? Was probably the main
right.
idea behind that one, or the main coin leading that. But it's nice to see ETH just say, hold on a second, I'm still the number 2 asset, and have a big run. And traditionally, that is what kicks off altcoin season, right? Is ETH having that nice run? That's when we know game on for our alt bags and exponential growth. So nice to see that. I see on Jamie's dashboard, it really had a really nice run in the past week or so. So yeah, I love to see that. Okay, so let's move on to some of these trade ideas that you have. So we did discuss lo-fi at the top of the show. I know Julian likes lo-fi. I'm sure Raul likes lo-fi. We love the SWI ecosystem here as well. So why don't we take a look at what lo-fi is doing, because it is doing well.
Yeah, it is. I mean, as we can see, it caught my eye a little bit back here. Kind of towards the end of April, I was like, whoa, this is a notable run out of the lows. And at that time, the volume here had caught my eye too, because whenever you see a big run like this, you always want to see the volume to support it. And it doesn't always happen. In fact, lately it happens, less or more often than not, it doesn't happen. So it was nice to see this big volume spike out of here. Now, granted, it did get a little bit over its skis, and so it had to kind of fully mean revert back to the 20-day moving average, which it did. But kind of on the initial announcement of the Kraken listing. So it announced that it was going to get listed on Kraken roundabout here. And then I think finally last week, or just a few days ago, it actually went live on Kraken. So this is being fueled by the Kraken listing, basically. But it's really nice to see the volume pick back up and start putting in additional above average volume days and continue to drive this moving average higher on the volume side. So yeah, I think it looks really good. It's starting to get a little bit overextended again, but we have to remember this is a really, really low market cap asset. This is only like $60 million market cap. So lots and lots of room to run here. Of course, it's going to be volatile, that far out the risk curve with that low of a market cap. It's going to have its ups and downs. But if it can catch up with the rest of some of these bigger memes, a lot of the bigger memes that we talk about are up in the hundreds of millions, 5, 6, 700 million or more, or even $1 billion or more in some cases. So I do think that this seems to be the premier meme coin in the SWI ecosystem. And we know the SWI ecosystem just kind of in general has been outpacing everything lately. So clearly it's got the momentum. And if you wanted to make a bet on, a beta play for the premier meme coin, I think of the SWI ecosystem, I'm going to, lo-fi is it. I mean, it's the one that's got the most buzz. It's the one everybody's talking about. The price, it's right here in the price. The scoreboard says so, basically, is really all that matters. So if you're looking for a good meme in the SWI ecosystem, lo-fi is my bet. And I think that, like I said, with a $60 million market cap, it's got lots of room to run still. So good stuff there.
And it has, like, it's not just the price, right? Like you mentioned, it's also the volume, right? You want to see those two things going in tandem. So, I mean, look at that. huge volume spike, and it's a green bar that we had
Yeah,
on that
yeah.
volume spike. So that means people are buying, right? So it's very nice to see that. And I also want to shout out Carrie Prince as well, who put Lo-Fi in a little while ago on our trade ideas um, platform. So he input this trade on May 7th. So I highlighted this on Friday during our weekly review show. And at the time, it was only up 33%. So now, as you can see, it's up 133%. So, and it's still active. So, Kerry, good job on that trade. Good job on your conviction there. We really like to see people input trades. And he also includes a chart too. So that's something we always like to see. Now, Kris, I want to ask you a question about Lo-Fi because you did mention that Kraken listing that's coming. I believe it's May 19th, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I think it's live. I'm pretty sure
it's
it's live. Yeah.
It's live already.
Yeah, I believe it is.
Okay, well then,
I mean, I could be
I
wrong, but
guess we'll watch.
I'm almost positive. No, it is because I looked on. I double checked. I looked on CoinGecko yesterday, and there was trading volume on listed for Kraken. So yeah, it's live as far as I know.
So then, quite surprising, we haven't seen. I mean, I know we see a little bit of a red candle forming right now, but pretty surprising we didn't see like that dump after. Because generally, when these meme coins get listed on exchanges, they tend to drop after. So, pretty interesting for Lo-Fi.
Well, I mean, I think it speaks to the momentum that this has, and I think they're doing a good job marketing the project. I mean, if you go on Twitter, they've got a really clever, everything, their artwork, their whole theme around the Yeti, and just they're very active. They've got a big following, and like I said, they're doing what they need to do to be a successful meme project. And so that's why I think that they're getting the play that they are. And it's great to see too, not saying anything bad about Sui, but in terms of like transacting on it, but it is a newer blockchain. And so people that are brand new to the crypto ecosystem may have to, learn how to get their money over there and actually transact on Sui. It's not like just going on Coinbase or going on your basic big centralized exchange. So the fact that it is now on one of the bigger kind of top tier centralized exchanges, only helps it further. I think it's going to open it to a whole new realm of kind of new entrants into crypto, and hopefully, let them onboard fully into Sui from there. But at least in the meantime, they've got direct access to the likes of Sui, to the likes of Lo-Fi, and I think all of that it can only be a good thing. So.
Awesome. So before we get, I know you have another trade that we want to take a look at, but before we get to that, I want to take this question from Andy. Looking strictly at the X factor this cycle between XLM and XRP, I'd go heavily in favor of XLM. What are your thoughts on that, Kris?
That's a tricky one for me. The reason I say that is because both of those are very much legacy alts. And so I tend to operate much more with the mindset of going with what's in its current hype cycle. Because the stuff that's going to have by far the most outsized gains are the things that are in its current hype cycle, haven't yet had that big initial run up and then, a full bear market to kind of bottom everything out. And then, it's usually only after that does the actual sort of market value of the token come into place. And so since we're talking about the likes of XLM and XRP, both of those are 2 cycles old now. And, and so what's going to drive them is fundamentals at this point. But I think the thing to keep in mind is they're already pretty far up the market cap. They're not going to do a 10x from here, probably, contrary to what some people might think. But it's hard for me to say. I mean, they both have interesting narratives. They both have interesting use cases. The XLM has, a lot of the government use case. XRP has kind of all the banking. It's hard for me to say. Certainly, XRP is a higher market cap, and so its ceiling is perhaps a little bit lower. But so you could argue that XLM has more room to run in that regard. But in terms of what's ultimately going to drive the price higher for both of those, it's going to be hype, in the end, I think, this cycle. And so XRP's got a lot of hype, despite having a much higher market cap. This is a hard question for me to answer. The answer is I don't really know what's going to, I can't tell you which one's going to be the better investment in the end. But I would say focus more on what has the most upside and mathematically, what's mathematically plausible, and probably go with that, because you're right, they both have interesting fundamental use cases, and they likely both will do well. So
Yeah. XRP is currently fourth in terms of market cap. So yeah,
yeah, yeah.
definitely really
I
up
mean, it's
there.
massive. It's massive for
Yeah.
sure.
And
So
XLM is 17th on the market cap. So
yes,
definitely has room to grow. But I agree with Chris's statement. I think XRP they have the diehard community, which I
yeah,
don't know if that even exists for XLM.
right.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to, if you're in the
Certainly not
XLM
to the extent.
community, I don't want to shame you for it. But yeah,
Yeah,
definitely not to the extent that the XRP army has, right? We know
yeah.
them. They're loud on the timeline. And
And if
XRP has beyond the community, they're always in the conversation, whether that's because of the community or whether that's because of all the connections or how high up they are. So they're always going to be on our radar. And I feel like XLM can easily be forgotten by a lot of people.
And if you listen to the XRP army, they'll be the first to tell you that XRP is going to 10x Bitcoin, this
Yeah.
cycle, and be the dominant crypto asset in the entire space. And so they don't care that it's already number 4, because to them the sky's the limit. And I know
Yeah.
they're all going to hate on me for saying that, but like I said, I focus much more on first cycle stuff. I'm big into SWE, and that kind of thing, even meme coins and whatnot. So I'm a hype guy. I think hype is what drives the crypto market to the largest degree, and I think that that's really the way that I choose to play it. So yeah.
Yes, that's what it is. I mean, that's where we are right now. So
Yeah.
until something else changes, that's the way we're going to be looking at it. All right,
Right.
Kris. So I know you have something new to talk about. Some alpha alert
Yeah,
here
yeah.
for a little bit of us. And again, reminder as always. I always need to put these reminders. Not financial advice. Do your own
Not
research. Look at
right.
the charts, then decide if you want to go into it. All right, Kris. What do we got?
Yeah, not financial advice. Also, I don't hold this asset. I did at one point, and I sold it, and I kind of regret selling it. I may or may not pick it up again. But so I wanted to talk about Heyanon. And if any of you are familiar, if you've been around a minute in crypto, you're familiar with Danny Sesta. He was a big presence last cycle. He had the whole kind of Frog Nation going, and he's really interesting guy, very charismatic, very kind of a every man's man, but really a good solid developer, very just creates some really cool stuff, and a lot of his projects did really well last cycle. And he's got a project now called Heyanon, and it's pretty cool. It's like this it's sort of an AI prompt driven dex, or DeFi tool, rather. Like, you can basically go on and say, if you don't know how to transact on a DEX, you can just say, hey, I want to buy, swap $100 worth of ETH to USDC or vice versa, and then take that and move it over to Aave and stake it here and borrow half of it against this and move it over to here, and just like tell it what to do. And it'll just like go and generate the actual prompts and do it for you. It's actually really cool. And so he put out this tweet thread. Was it yesterday, May 13th? So yesterday, yeah. And I want to kind of quickly just scroll through it. And this is super interesting. And I think if this catches on, this is going to be a bit of a game changer. So he's releasing a HUD. I'm assuming that means kind of heads-up display or head-up display. Forgive me if I'm not understanding it correctly, but basically it's a Chrome extension that overlays on top of your favorite Solana platforms, for example, Axiom, Pump.fun, etc. And it basically just goes on and does a lot of analysis, like deep analysis, on-chain overlay, TA overlay, injects real-time data directly into your charts. So, stop guessing, start acting. It basically, it breaks down and analyzes deep exactly what's going on within these new assets that are launching on platforms like Pump.fun, tracks first 100 buyers rather. Anytime KOLs start tweeting about it, it sort of factors that in. It just breaks down all of this really interesting deep analysis on these new assets as they come out. So you don't have to sit here and kind of wonder what's going on with any of this stuff, because otherwise it's a complete crapshoot. It's totally just gambling with a lot of these platforms like Pump.fun. And so super interesting, and it just kind of is live in real time, and it generates all this additional data for you and helps facilitate you buying these assets or selling these assets or interacting with them. And like I said, I think it could be a bit of a game changer it catches on. And so I wanted to share this, and then kind of real quickly, just sort of getting back to how Heyanon works. Like I said, you can go on this website. It's just really, it looks like a chat GPT prompter, with a little instruction over the top of it. And you just type like, hey, I want to swap 100 USDC to wrapped ETH on Ethereum, deposit that all on Aave. You can have it bridge to Arbitrum. It can do all of this stuff. You just kind of learn the little sort of syntax. It's got a list of all the commands. You learn the syntax, tell it what to do, and it just kind of goes and does it all. And really cool, really innovative, I feel like. And this is the kind of stuff that he does. And so I think we're starting to see that reflected in the chart. Initially it came out, it was a victim of sort of timing when it launched. It sort of peaked around when everything else peaked, at the beginning of the year. And so sort of unfortunate timing in terms of the launch. And so it suffered its price a little bit. But since then, he's put out a lot of really positive announcements. He's delivered on the tech that he's talked about. And, we're starting to see price come back around. And the price right now, the market cap is only about 104 million. So it's still really, really low. I think another thing I really like about this project, and sort of not surprising to see him do, is it runs on 8 different blockchains. Most of these projects, they'll run on 1, maybe 2, maybe 3, if they're really innovative. But like, he's got this running on 8 blockchains, and that makes it so he can facilitate the bridging and the interoperability between all these blockchains super easily. And I think that's, having it run on that many blockchains is only going to serve it going forward. And so, again, I think this is somebody you don't want to fade. I think anything that Danny works on is something that, has strong potential. And he, like I said, he has a track record of success. Now, granted, there's a little bit of controversy surrounding him, and not everything he's done has done well over the long term, but he knows how to put out an innovative product and very unique. And so I think he's somebody to follow. And I think that Heyanon is a project that I think is going to be interesting, as we play out the rest of the year. So it's definitely going to be on my radar. And I just wanted to share it with everybody else because yeah, I think good things are happening there.
Awesome. Great shout out there. Love the breakdown as well. Give us a full picture on Danny Sesta and the coin. So that's the type of research we love to see. So I want to take this question from Ruth. Do you think SWI will behave the same way as Solana did in 2021? It had a huge ROI during that bull run. What do you think, Kris?
I mean, yeah, that's my base case. Sure. Because just like Solana was in 2021, it was in its initial hype cycle. It wasn't running up because of its fundamental, attributes. I mean, in all honesty, as much as I love Solana now, Solana was a bit of a dumpster fire back in 2020 and 2021. Not to say that there weren't quality devs working on it, but it was just in its infancy. It was a brand new blockchain. It was, people were just learning how to code on it. So it was very sort of rough around the edges, and it wasn't mature. It wasn't a mature product yet. And I think we're seeing that with SWI. And I would argue that SWI actually has a bit more of a mature product by this point in time than Solana did in its, this far along back in 2020 and 2021. So yeah, I think that it's got great marketing. It's got an amazing team behind it. And I don't see any reason why it's not going to catch the hype, and run up. Now, I don't know if it's going to do the same percentage gains that Solana did back then. I mean, it's a completely different market. So I can't speak to that, but will it be successful? Will it be one of the top performing layer ones this cycle? I think the answer is it already is. I mean, it's already outpacing, I want to say, just about every other layer one in terms of absolute gains, this cycle. So, I mean, maybe, maybe Sol's ahead, even though Sol has had a bit of a decline, as of late. It's sort of lost a bit of momentum, though I still think it'll do well. But yeah, I mean, it already is sort of reaching those goals that you talked about. And I think it will only continue to. It was the hottest project all of last year, and I don't see any reason why it's not going to be one of the hottest projects all of this year too. I mean, it already is, like I said. So yeah.
Yeah, I think an important thing that you said there was it's a different cycle this time around. It's a different market that we're in, because Solana had over a 30,000% ROI in the last cycle, which is insane. Right. So like for SWI to hit that this cycle, it would essentially have to be where ETH's market cap is right now for it to have that similar ROI. Is that possible? Like at that point, SWI would be like $95. So I don't know. I feel like that's really crazy. I think it'll
That's a
have,
stretch.
yeah, I think that's a little bit of a stretch, right? I think a lot of us will be happy if we get to $20. So
Right.
I think it's very tough. I don't think we want to compare those two because, again, like Kris said, it's a different market. But I do think, like what Kris said, it is the number one L1 right now this cycle. I think it will be among the top performers of all coins this cycle in terms of the majors, right? Obviously, meme coins will
Yeah.
go crazy, so those are outliers to an extent. But
Sure.
I just think it's a tricky game to play trying to compare that, and it's you can you can end up holding the bag if you're playing that game because you're waiting for the Solana ROI that may never come, and then you're going to ride it back down. So I don't want you to do that. So yeah, pay close attention there. Okay, I want to take this other question from Stuart. How much longer do you think Fart and Popcat have? Can the interest in these maintain through alt season? What do you think, Kris?
Absolutely. I mean, without question. I mean, just go back and look at the alts last cycle too. Looking at prime, do like a bit of a case study on both Doge and Shiba Inu. They're interesting. Now, Doge did actually peak out in the first 2021 peak, and it didn't drop all the way down, but it didn't set a higher high in November, unlike Shiba, which did. But both of those ran and held strong easily for the duration of the entirety of 2021. And I don't think there's any reason why all the top performing meme coins can't do the same thing. I mean, the whole market's if the whole market is going up, they'll absolutely be in the conversation. They're just as relevant and they have just as much momentum as anything else. I don't think we're going to see this like rotation from come out of memes and go into some other sector, AI or L1s or RWA or what have you. I think that all of it is going to continue to run, and sure, some memes may peak out before others, but I think that as long as the entire market is running deep into the end of the year or even into Q1, they will absolutely be part of that run, just like anything else will.
Yeah. My sources on the ground at Token 2049 told me that a lot of the big oil money guys were very interested in talking about Fartcoin. So take that for what you will. So, all
Pump my
right.
bags.
Yeah. Well, we'll take the oil money coming into our meme coins, so that's for sure. All right, guys, it's been another great episode today. Pleasure taking your questions. We love them. Take a look at Hey Anon. Take a look at Lo-Fi. Don't count ETH out just yet.
Yeah.
I think it's showing some life. And I do actually want to note that Pectra upgrade was pretty nicely done on ETH. I actually used ETH for the first time in a really long time yesterday. I did a mint on Abstract Chain, so shout out to Abstract. Shout out to the Auras as well, Sugartown. I minted something and I had to bridge from ETH to Abstract ETH and then actually do a mint. In total, it cost me about $2 with the bridge and the mint included. So really got to give a shout out to
Nice.
to that upgrade there. When those gas fees come down, I'm sure people will start returning. But anyway, thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll be back again next week on Wednesday to talk about the markets, and of course on Monday for our live TA session in Discord. So we'll see you all there, and have a great week. And don't fuck this up, guys.